Hello friends, today is March 19th, it's Wednesday, and I'm going to give you guys an update on my labs that were about a month ago they were February 20th. It's been a crazy month, so it took a while to get all these and then to get everyone to, talk about them and look at them, so that's why I'm coming to you with it this late in the game, but I did just have more labs taken yesterday, so I'll get those out at some point. So this last batch was a lot. I had like 20 vials of my blood taken. Dr. T went down and did the mistletoe clinic training in Atlanta, which is really exciting because that means mistletoe is on its way to Asheville. And while she was there, she got to, of course, I guess, get exposed or rub heads with the other smart people in the industry of cancer. So she got to hang out with Dr.Nasha Winters, who is she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer at age 19. She's now in her, and by the way, it was stage 4, so she was terminal, and they gave her 3 months, and now she's in her 40s. So she is a really cool kind of terrain type oriented doctor, all about trying to make sure you keep the right terrain in your body so that cancer doesn't really have a chance to grow. So she got to meet her and pick her brain, and they all looked at my labs, and she also got to talk to Dr. Mark Hancock, who I've seen for mistletoe down at Humanizing Medicine. So it's just really exciting that all these really smart people are coming together, and it's extra exciting that they're all interested in looking at my case. So really cool for me. We did a whole bunch of labs, and during this test or during this draw, I did have poison ivy. It wasn't totally as bad. It hadn't broken out at that time on the 20th that badly, but I did have it. So I was expecting a lot of inflammatory markers, and we did test a lot of inflammatory markers just to see where that is in my body. And surprisingly, I came out not as inflamed as I would have expected, but I was taking a systemic enzyme at the time. So I was doing anything I could to help manage the poison ivy, which I did talk a little bit about it last time. Quercetin was a godsend. I really, really, really appreciated that little tip Dr. T told me about. Take quercetin. It hits kind of the 4 big histamine receptors instead of Benadryl, which only hits 1. This really helps control the histamine release in the body, so the regulation of that, and then as well as the mast cell activation. And so it just helps calm the immune system down in many ways, because I was having sort of a ridiculous reaction, an overreaction to poison ivy from disc golf one weekend. And I'm still a little itchy at times, but it's nothing like the same. I don't have any of the dry skin patches that I was trying to, dry out that poison ivy, and it kind of went all over. So quercetin worked very, very fast. I took high doses, like 2 grams, 2 to 3 times a day, especially in the beginning. I'm doing it mostly just twice a day now, and I'm between 160 to 200 or more right now, just because the stuff I have is all different dosed. But I had some extra pills at home, so I was able to start that quick. I didn't have to wait till the shipment came in that I ended up buying what Dr. T recommended. So giving it all shots, throwing everything at it, and it's definitely helped my skin a lot. The only white blood cell was a little high was eosinophils, and that's probably tied to the allergic reaction on the skin. Eosinophils love skin reactions, so they get their numbers up when that happens. But the big 3 tests that you want to do when you're kind of monitoring cancer sort of down the road, like what do you do? What are you looking at? Let's look at the inflammatory cycles of the body. How are they handling things? So ESR, which is erythroid sedimentation rate, CRP, which is C-reactive protein, and then LDH. And the LDH can be broken down into different fractions, so you can actually tweeze out organs and figure out, if there's an organ that's not handling the medication well, or an organ that's not getting good circulation, good nutrients. So there could be maybe the Warburg effect occurring, which is sort of that anaerobic glycolysis that cancer cells love to do. So those create environments that, obviously favor cancer cells. So we want to minimize those areas. So on those tests, overall, I scored really well. ESR was super low. I'm not going to go into all the details because honestly, this was the 3rd time I've done a video. Because I had the first one that was too long, and I ended up talking to somebody else who gave me a lot of clarity on a lot of things I didn't understand about my lab tests. And then I also I did a great video this morning that was really great and precise, but the audio didn't record. So great. So I'm recording now. The ESR was really low, so I had super low inflammatory markers there. The CRP was below 1, which is unmeasurable, it said. So I did learn there's a more sensitive CRP test called the HS-CRP. And so that HS-CRP test is the highly sensitive CRP test. And it's going to tweeze out the range instead of like 0 to 10, which is the CRP, C-reactive protein. This is going to tweeze out 0 to 3. So it's a much smaller scale. So now if I'm below 1, I can be like, well, am I at 0.1 or am I at 0.9? Where am I at on the under 1 scale? So that's a really good test that people should do. And I'm going to ask Dr. T to do that one next time. It was suggested by my acupuncturist, who is awesome with lab tests. She is a lab warrior, super nerd, love it. The LDH is, that one came out for me really good. I think I scored 144 and the range went up to like 220 something. And anytime you're under 175 is what Dr. Nasha Winters recommends. When under 175, you're in a better zone. And I was 144, so that's great. Yeah, the top number is 226. The bottom number is 119. So I'm pretty low on that, which is great. And that's, again, the Warburg effect, the anaerobic activity that can occur in cells and tissues. And then from there, we broke down the LD isoenzymes even more into different fractions, 1 through 5. And these fractions represent different organs in the body. Like, for instance, fraction 1 is like the heart, I believe. I haven't looked all these up specifically, and these are still new for Dr. T too. This was something either Dr. Hancock or Winters suggested, I'm not sure who. But the one I showed up on, interestingly enough, gosh, my head is itchy, and yeah, my hair is so curly now. I'm about to get a cut, so it's gonna change. I will grow it long, but it is just getting unmanageable. So the one I showed up on was fraction 4, and that is supposed to represent the kidney and pancreas health. And mine was slightly high. So the range was like 5 to 13. I ended up on 14, just over the mark. And that is a very early sign that maybe those organs are not getting great nutrients. They're creating areas that are becoming anaerobic, or simply they're being attacked by the HER2 drugs. I'm going to think that the latter is the one. But I'm going to guess that only because there's so many HER2 receptors in the pancreas and in the kidneys. So I suggested to, and Dr. T seconded that, which was great. So I suggested to Dr. Rob that I maybe drop Perjeta, and that is one of the heavy immunotherapies that I'm doing. And it's the one that has a lot of side effects. It's the one I have to bring my little cooler, my little recirculation cooler with. And I got to put on the gloves and the little booties on my feet, and I got to keep everything cold, and it's just not, it's miserable, it's not fun. So I asked her if we could drop it because I'm having indications of cell damage from these therapies. And the only reason I asked is because currently there is no circulating cancer cells in my body. Whoop, whoop. So it's great news in a lot of ways. And, she, of course, was like, oh, I don't know, like they do different things. We should make sure we're keeping them in the mix. By the way, I'm still doing Herceptin every 6 weeks. And I just said, well, your tests, she said, our tests look fine on our end. I said, your tests just aren't specific enough. Unfortunately, we're doing some of these ridiculously specific ones. And I'm not saying I'm, in a bad place, but I do want to protect these organs. And if the sign of cancer is not there, then, all we're going to end up hitting are the other cells that favor or have HER2 receptors on them. And there's many. Your heart, your intestines, everything. There's a lot of HER2 receptors all over your body. So I want to minimize that. And so she was like, oh, okay, we'll do it. And so she dropped it. And so I didn't have to do Perjeta last time, which was awesome. I just got to do Herceptin, so super cool. Another test that we looked up, which was cool, I didn't know we could do, was the EBV. So we were looking at the Epstein-Barr virus tests, and we had 3 on this panel, but I had a 4th I had never heard of that was just suggested to me that is more specific. So the first 3 we did that are typical, you usually see when people do Epstein-Barr tests, are going to be like the IgM. So they're going to test the IgM, the VCA IgG, and then the nuclear antigen AB IgG. So if I was to put up this little chart that my acupuncturist is showing me about how the immunoglobulins respond to the viral infection, the IgM is like the first big wave. It's like the boop, you have an infection. Yep, you've got Epstein-Barr, which is also known as mononucleosis. Yeah, I had it in high school. So I know Epstein-Barr is a virus that stays in your body forever. So great. I ended up, well, so, okay, so anyway, back to the test. I don't want to get into my Epstein-Barr exposure. So it is an oncovirus. It does have links to cancer. So this is one of those theories that maybe I ended up having this bog my immune system down enough that this caused, cancer to grow and blah, blah, blah. There's so many theories, right? So the IgM is the first big infection. My numbers were low because I haven't had this infection since high school. So that showed undetected. Fine, that's typical. But the IgGs, the two IgGs that we did, the VCA and the nuclear antigen, was very high. Both of those numbers were, way off the marks. Like your intervals are supposed to be like 17.9, and my numbers were 227 or 338. That's insane. That's super high numbers. But I also learned once the IgGs go up, they just stay up. So the chart of, co-infection or reinfection would just say chronic forever and just stay flat like that, up there, always reading high. Even if my immune system is in control of that virus, these IgG tests will not show that dormancy or the reactivation. So my awesome acupuncturist told me about the EBV early antigen test, which is it's the IgG, but it's the early antigen. So it's called the EA-IgG. EA-IgG. And she even gave me the LabCorp number to order this lab number. And if you're a practitioner out there and you want to look this stuff up, because I think this is the most specific test for whether or not the immune system is in control of the Epstein-Barr virus, is the number for LabCorp is 096248. And that's LabCorp, which is in a lot of places. So I'm hoping that number works for everybody. So it's a very interesting, very specific test that's going to show whether or not I have a reinfection, whether or not that Epstein-Barr is running rampant in my body, or if it's staying suppressed by my immune system. So that'll be the next test we're going to tweeze out to see. The good news is I didn't show up with any other viruses, which there were a lot they tested for, and that is great. I don't want any of those viruses. So my vitamin levels looked really good. It looks like I need to support some fat-soluble vitamins more, specifically A and E. So Dr. T is going to get me a supplement for that. Obviously, I'm going to work on it in my diet as well, but I haven't had a chance to dive into all of that right now. So I'll probably be interested in what she's got since I'm rotating stuff and trying to take a break on other things. My omega panels were really low, so I do need to go back on EPA and DHA. I had been doing very high amounts before I got a cancer diagnosis. And it's a very good thing to be on. I had some times when I was going on the cancer journey where I was reading information that said how terrible they can be because it can oxidize and all the things like that. And yes, it really can. Sorry, I'm talking so fast because I have to do this fast because I have so many other things on my schedule, but I'm losing my voice. But I'm not trying to rush for you guys, trying to give you a fair deal, and also not chew through a half hour on my labs. So anyway, it is... yeah, it's been fun. So some of the fish oils I'll probably go back on. It's just going to be Nordic Naturals for now. And I think I've got one from Apex Energetics that's really good. Bring those back online. I did learn about DPA, which was one I'd never heard of. And when I first looked that up, I found it was only in seals. So I was like, well, yeah, of course I'm going to be deficient in seal oil. I haven't eaten seal ever in my life. So if that's something that we need, I have been missing out. But I also learned that it's also in breast milk. So I'm not going to go try to purchase that at the stores. It's hard to find sometimes. But I may explore colostrum or some of those sources and see if that would contain enough of the DPA form of omega. I'm going to have to do a little reading, and it's supposed to be, I guess, one of the metabolites between EPA and DHA, but we're not quite sure about that yet. So the pictures we were all getting didn't really talk about DPA, of course, and I'd never heard about it, so I was frustrated when I learned about it and that I'm deficient. So more research on that will be coming, but I'm just going to focus on getting good sourced fish, and we did some salmon tacos this weekend with my friends, so I'll probably try to just get more natural sources in when I can, and probably pop some fish oils when I have some extra around. Let's see. Most of the other things looked really good. My other inflammatory markers we looked at would have been like fibrinogen, interleukin-6 we looked at, galectin-3. All of those were great. I'm super happy with my numbers. Let's see if my insulin numbers were really good. They want my numbers even lower, but I was reminded I was not in a fasting state for this test. This was in the afternoon. So relatively, if you looked at my insulin, I'm actually really low for a non-fasting state. I was 7.3. They want me under 5. Most people are like in the 20s, you know, like 2.6 to 24.9. Most people are trying to get under 10. I'd love to be under 5 all the time. That sort of acts like a natural chemo. So yeah, that's the terrain I want to forge. I want to definitely check my insulin levels a little closer. And then my glucose level for not fasting was actually really low too, and I was pegged for hypoglycemia. So at least I'm not eating things that are, you know, I guess throwing it all around, but I really didn't have, I think I probably had just a little bit of protein that day and I hadn't eaten much. So it wasn't, you know, hypoglycemic, don't get that confused. I was just on the lower end of normal for somebody who should have been eating or was eating, you know, not fasting. So yeah, I think that covers the majority of the tests we did. There are a lot. I mean, you can see how many papers, 20 vials, so it was a lot. It was a whole lot of tests. But overall, it looks like my immune system is bouncing back relatively well. My neutrophils to lymphocytes for the white blood cell ratios are really good. You want that between like 2 to 1, neutrophils to lymphocytes. And I was in that range. Those have been good really this whole time through, which is great to see. So feeling really good right now. This weekend I'm going to be going to my little survival class. So I'll be off grid a little bit, I guess. My phone won't have great Wi-Fi. So I'm going to be camping and just trying to get in touch with nature a little bit. I think this is a really important time for me to look at the things that I wish I still had good knowledge on. And a lot of it is just how to be in Mother Nature. Instead of being scared of the poison ivy and the yellow jackets, you know, I don't want to be like that. I'm not even 40 yet. And I'm like, ooh, the outdoors is really kicking my butt. So yeah, I'm just going to face it head on like usual. And that's the only way I can do it. So I'm going into the woods, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. I'll also get you some information on how my labs went. And hopefully I'll get this video posted tonight so you all can see it while I'm out of town. I hope you all have a great weekend, and yeah, enjoy every day. All right, talk to you next time.